This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Bruschi.
We are talking with retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer right now about the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell and some of the more dramatic moments that we've seen in testimony and some of the audio recordings of the last handful of days. Jennifer, I want to get your take because we haven't talked since this took place, but the recording of the conversation between Lori Vallow Daybell and her sister, Summer Shiflett, it was a heart-wrenching call. It almost felt like Lori was not even human with her responses to her sister pleading for some sort of explanation as to why the children were dead, why they've been missing so long, and why were you dancing on the beach when your children are dead or missing? What's your take on that phone call?
Well, what was glaring to me, and I think will be glaring to a jury, is the juxtaposition between the emotion of the sister and Lori Vallow. Mm-hmm. Lori Vallow sounded like she was talking about what she was going to make for dinner that evening.
Yeah.
It was completely remiss of any emotion. Her words seemed to show zero concern. And interestingly enough, even the fact she had no concern toward her sister's concern, mm-hmm. We're all human. And if somebody you love is calling you and so upset, usually your emotion, you get more emotional. So not only is she not upset about the topic, which is her missing children, she's not upset about her sister's emotional state. That was just completely glaring to me.
It was bizarre to me because Lori is very good at manipulating people, but and with manipulating people, you have to, play to their emotions. You have to hear them. You have to work with that. But she just seemed utterly not even interested in trying to manipulate her whatsoever. And maybe that was the purpose. She doesn't need her. She doesn't need to manipulate her in any way, shape, or form. It was just very bizarre the way that she just kind of completely turned that off and seemed to have no sense on how to, if you're going to be lying to people, lie to people. In one point in that phone call, she even recognized the fact that the kids were dead and that she had to go and move on with her life, and she was trying to find some sort of happiness. But at that very same time, there was still a search going on for the children. They didn't even know they were, or at that moment, they had just discovered that they were dead. It was just the coldness of it. I don't know. It's hard to understand.
I agree with you, Tony. You know what it seemed like to me? A terrible movie script.
Yeah.
That no one would ever believe.
Yeah.
The sister going crazy, and then the mother not caring one bit. It looked like it sounds like a bad movie script, only it was real.
Yeah, I mean it's almost as bad as Chad's writing of his novels, or the novella that came through the text, the love letters and the loin fire. I was almost waiting to hear that in that phone call. There's been a lot of FBI testimony in the last week from various individuals. What stood out to you about some of that testimony?
The thing that stood out, Tony, was certainly the testimony regarding finding JJ. Mm-hmm. The green bucket, the head, the detail of what this child went through, asphyxiation. Mm-hmm. I saw the toxicology. I'm not a toxicologist. I'm not a chemist. But none of us really know what level he really had. In other words, I think when I was listening, we were all just hoping, was JJ maybe unconscious? You hope for that. But just utterly shocking, thinking about him, right? Being asphyxiated, having a plastic bag over his head, looking, and and seeing Alex, and it's just terrible.
Just trying to understand how, I mean, I guess that's the impossible thing. We're always trying to look at it from our prisms, but I'm trying to understand that prism. What on earth is going through the individual's mind who was committing that crime? And I get they have their religious ideology and all of that, but how did they transform that into the justification to do this? Are they all literally believing these kids are zombies? Or was there more of a nefarious intent behind all this, and it was the zombie stories were more of a front than an actual belief?
Well, that's the side I take. I think the zombie stories and the religious were a convenient way for them to skew what they wanted to do. And what they wanted to do was to go to Hawaii, to get married, to be without their children, and to be without responsibility, and to start this fresh life. So they conveniently skewed this religious thought pattern into matching what they wanted to have happen. Mm-hmm. So they made the result, they made the religion to match the result. And I think we see a microcosm with that, right? Mm-hmm. On how the bodies were mutilated. Yeah. In other words, and burned, right? That's supposed to be some religious letting go. Mm-hmm. Well, no, I think it was because they wanted to cover it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was to me the same microcosm, right? Your result you want is nobody to find the body. So what can we say religiously match? That this would free the soul. That's how I see this whole case.
What is bizarre about all of that is, do you think they wanted to get caught because they were doing these things in such ways that were so easy to look at and go, well, this is crazy. The way you're acting, what you're saying. There'd be so many more ways to do this under the radar if this is what you truly wanted to do, rather than wander around Hawaii with Dateline following you and flamboyantly getting married on the beach and taking pictures. It almost, to me, feels like these were people who subconsciously wanted to be busted at some point with their ways of showing off in such a bizarre time as the world searching for their children.
Well, Tony, you can tell you're a good person because the issue here is these are narcissists beyond the word narcissist. Yeah. These people thought of themselves, or so they say, as godlike.
Yeah.
God. That's even beyond what any,
sure,
narcissist necessarily acts like. So when you think you're God, you can get away with anything. Nobody's going to catch you. You're smarter. You're better. Nobody's going to come after you. And that, I believe, is why they were so ostentatious and so stupid. Mm-hmm. And this is oftentimes why many people who commit these heinous crimes get caught, because they think they're above, they're better, and they're not going to get caught. And we rely on that as law enforcement officers.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Bruschi.
Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI special agent, thank you so much for your insight today. Always appreciate that. If you like the podcast, I need you to press subscribe wherever you're downloading podcasts. So you don't miss any breaking updates or discussions on the cases that we're following for you right here. You can get an ad-free experience when you subscribe through Apple Podcasts. I'm Tony Bruschi. Stay with us.